all things, healthy food, how to create balanced meals, how to use, a bunch of different ingredients that we hopefully either have hidden away in our pantries or is really easy to get from Coles or Woolies or wherever you do your grocery shopping. So yeah, it's all about keeping things really simple, really easy, and really healthy. Today we've got 2 recipes up our sleeves. We've got an overnight oats recipe, which will be great for breakfast. So prepping it up today means that you can have really delicious breakfast over the weekend. We've also got a Buddha bowls recipe. And this is a little bit different to what we've done in the past because we're not actually going off a typical recipe format. We're actually looking at a guide and seeing what different ingredients we can pull together. So today I'm going to be showing you what I've done when I've looked at the Buddha Bowls guide and the sorts of things that I've brought together. And hopefully it'll kind of give you a little bit of inspiration for how you can use this guide at home. So my name's Laura. I'm a nutritionist here with Nutrition Australia New South Wales and Share. We're both not-for-profit organisations, and we're trying to do quite a lot to kind of keep us all engaged and keep us all healthy while we're in lockdown at the moment. So that's what Project Pantry is all about. We've also got food hampers, a community hotline, free exercise classes as well. There was a Tai Chi and yoga class this morning. So we're trying to give you lots of different options and things that can kind of keep you connected while at home. If you are cooking along today, I want you to let me know in the comments or maybe take yourself off on video and maybe put your hands up because I want to know how many of us we have that is cooking along with me today. Just give this a minute. I think most of us are probably just sitting and relaxing. Maybe you've got a cup of tea and yeah, just getting ready to talk and learn about different sorts of foods. So that's good. So I always, before we start Project Pantry, we always do a little bit of a self-reflection activity. So we talk about on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 feeling not very confident and 5 feeling very confident, how confident you feel when it comes to cooking healthy meals using the ingredients that you might have on hand in your pantry or lying around in the fridge. So I'd love you to pop in the chat box, or you can always, raise your hand in the video. And on a scale of 1 to 5, how confident do you feel? We've got a few 1s. I saw a 5 there. And a few 1s in around 3s and 2s, I think I saw as well. So we've got a pretty broad mix. And I think that'll be really good today because the tips that you can use today are a very simple one. So if you're not really feeling very confident, these will give you really great ideas to get going, and they're really easy. But it also kind of gives a little bit of flexibility for those of us who may be doing a lot of cooking at home and quite confident in the kitchen. So it kind of gives you a little bit of inspiration for other ways you can challenge yourself as well. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start today with putting some vegetables in the oven for our Buddha bowl. So for the Buddha bowl today, I've decided to do some roasted veggies. I've got some tofu, which I've been marinating as well, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. I've got some boiled eggs. I've got some quinoa and rice. And I've also got tahini for a little bit of a dressing. So I've kind of looked at the different boxes that are in that Buddha bowls recipe, and that link is in the chat box for you. So if you haven't looked at it yet, do feel free to click on it and have a look so that you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I've had a look at the different boxes. I've got some vegetables, I've got some protein, I've got some dressings, I've got some fruit as well because I've got some avocado. So we'll be going into that a little bit more detail towards the end of the session when we're pulling things together. But I just want to get these vegetables in the oven now. So that's where we're going to start with. So I've got about half of an eggplant, about half of a zucchini, and a little bit of pumpkin. I've used pent pumpkin. So I've just cut them into cubes here. I've got my oven, which is preheating on around 210. And all I'm going to do, give it a little bit of drizzle of oil. This is extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to go in with some salt and pepper. And I'm also going to go in with a couple of spices as well. So today I'm going to be using a little bit of turmeric. There we go. Just a little bit there. And also some ground paprika as well. So just sprinkling it on there. Then I'm just going to take a spoon and just kind of give that a little bit of a toss just to distribute that a little bit evenly. Okay. All right, I'm just going to pop it in the oven here. And you can use whatever spices you would like. So you could use a little bit of chili, you could use cumin and coriander seeds as well. That would be great too. You could use something like fennel. Really just have a look at your pantry, see what you have and experiment as well. Okay, so those vegetables are in. We're going to leave them until the end of the session. And we're going to actually pop over to our overnight oats recipe. Now, both of these recipes are actually from the Sugar-Free September website. And I believe we have a few of our sugar-free people who are undertaking the Sugar-Free September challenge with us today. So if you are a Sugar-Free September person joining us, welcome. And halfway through the challenge, you're doing very, very good. Nutrition Australia New South Wales is the nutrition partner for Sugar-Free September. So we've been trying to do lots of different things throughout the month already, giving lots of practical tips for reducing sugar in your diet. So this is one of these recipes. So this is a overnight oats using banana and almond butter. So what I've got here is 1.5 cups of rolled oats. And to that, we're going to be adding a cup of almond milk. You could also use rice milk. You could use soy milk. You could use actual dairy milk. So you can use whatever milk you're used to using at home. So that goes in. We've got 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. I actually did a little bit more than 1/2 teaspoon because I love cinnamon, I have to say. I've also got 2 tablespoons of roasted almond butter. Now this is something that I picked up at Coles in the, in like the spreads aisle. However, this is something that you can make at home as well. So if you've got, a bunch of almonds, you can roast them in the oven, let them cool, blend them up, and you'll be making your own almond butter. If you are buying almond butter from the store, look for ones which, just contain in the ingredients list, it's just almonds. You'll probably find a lot of them have a bit of salt there as well, and that's okay.
Sorry, Laura, there's just a question in the chat box for Karen. She can't eat oats. Is there a substitute that you can think of?
Yeah, so we actually, in one of our previous weeks, we've made a kind of similar thing using quinoa. So what you can do is cook up quinoa in the, in the milk, and then also leave it overnight as well. And that'll kind of give you a very similar thing. So yeah, hopefully that works for you. You could also try a little bit of gluten-free wheat bix, but quinoa is probably the best substitute in terms of like for like. Okay, so we're just combining all of those all of those ingredients there. And to this, we're going to add some mixed berries. So these ones are frozen mixed berries. They are, you know, much easier to kind of have on hand. The fresh berries can get a little bit pricey. So having frozen berries is a cheaper alternative. And, you know, they still taste great as well. So I'm going to be mixing those through. And the last thing we're going to add is some banana. So I've just got one banana here. And very simple, just going to be slicing it up and adding it on top. Keeping that banana peel for my compost bin.
Laura, do you recommend using a quick oats for this recipe?
Just a rolled oats is fine, because instead of, we're not going to be cooking them, what we're going to be doing is putting it into the fridge and letting them soak overnight. So yeah, just a rolled oats is kind of what we're looking for here. Okay. So overnight, they're going to get, you know, they're going to soften, kind of absorb that milk, and, you know, the juices from the berries as well. You can put it into separate containers, but I'm just going to be leaving mine in the one bowl just for it to be a little bit easier. Popping my banana in there. And that's ready to go straight into the fridge as it is. And yeah, put it in the fridge overnight, take it out the next morning, and you've got a lovely breakfast that's all ready to go. I would pop some yogurt on the top as well, just for a little bit more protein and to kind of fill it up a little bit more. You could also put some apple on the top, or some sultanas or some nuts. Yeah, just if you want to add a little bit more to beef it up, but it's ready to go as it is. So that's the first one down. And that was very quick. We knocked that over in about 5 minutes, didn't we?
Sorry, Laura, just another question in the chat box from Raylene.
Yeah.
Would you say that the banana might go brown if it's not mixed into the oats?
Yeah, it might do. So what you could do is, if you mash the banana up and mixed it through, that might kind of, you know, then it might become a little bit more combined in the oats that way. I kind of just like my banana on top, so that's why I've left it like that. But yeah, if you're a big fan of banana, then mashing it through, I think that would be a great alternative for that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the Buddha bowl, but if you do have any more questions about the overnight oats, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll keep chatting about it as we go. So the next part of the Buddha bowl that we're going to talk about is our grain. So Buddha bowl is basically a fancy word for, you know, just throwing a bunch of things in a bowl and making it work. That's basically what we're doing here. So as part of that, we're going to have, you know, a grain, we're going to have a protein source, we're going to have some vegetables, possibly some fruits if it goes with, you know, the vegetables and the kind of flavor profile that you're building up there, and also some kind of dressing. So for us today, we're going to be using this. So this is a brown rice and quinoa cup. It's one of those, you know, 40 seconds pop in the microwave things, which I really like because for time-wise and speed-wise, it just makes things really easy. It's also great if you're gluten-free. So perhaps, if you can't eat oats, maybe you can't eat gluten. So this is, a great meal that is, completely gluten-free and very easy to have. Okay. We're also going to be adding some boiled eggs. So this is some eggs that I boiled up literally just this morning. So just 5 minutes in boiling water, peeled them, and you've got a really, lovely protein dense snack or contribution to the Buddha bowl. So all we're going to be doing for this is slicing these eggs in half. And popping them in there. And the next protein we're going to be adding is tofu. So as I said before, we've got tofu that has been marinating just this morning. So this is firm tofu. There are a few different types of tofu, and using firm or extra firm for bowls or meals such as this is the way to go, because it kind of holds together and and cooks a little bit better than if you're using silken tofu. So tofu is obviously it's made from soy, so it's a plant-based protein that we're using today. This means that if you are vegan, you can leave the eggs off the plate and you'll have a complete vegan meal. Or if you're vegetarian, this is also a great meal for you. It's packed with protein, packed with things that are going to really fill you up. But also, tofu is a kind of delicious thing that we can just have in its own right and celebrate in its own right. So even if you do eat meat, do give tofu a go. It often gets a little bit of a bad rep because it can be, people often say that it is bland, and it is. And that's kind of the whole point, is that it soaks up whatever flavors that you're cooking with. So today I've chosen to go with, I've marinated it in a little bit of soy sauce. I've got just a teaspoon of honey. You could leave the honey out if you're going sugar-free. Otherwise, a little bit of teaspoon of honey is completely fine. I've also got a lot of ginger in there as well. So it's a bit of a honey soy ginger marinade there. And we're going to just pan fry this tofu. It's a really great way to cook tofu because it gets beautiful and crispy. But you could definitely also, sorry, just putting this in here. You could definitely bake it in the oven with the veggies. You could also give it a steam as well. That's also a great way to cook it as well. So there's lots of different ways according to, the way that you like things. If you like things a little bit crispier, then pan frying is the way to go. If you are, a little bit short of time, then perhaps steaming or baking, because that's something that you can kind of like pop in the oven and then, go around and doing other things throughout the day. Okay. So all I'm doing now is just testing to see the heat of the pan. I want to make sure that the pan's really hot. Also, if you move your pan around and if your oil is, moving around really quite quickly in the pan, then it's ready to go. So we've got our cubed tofu, popping it in. Going to turn that down a little bit, but we do want to keep that pan nice and hot to give it that crispy texture. It's not going to take long, probably about 5 minutes total, just a few minutes on each side. And this is what I have here is 300 grams of tofu. So this will be good for about 2 people. Do we have people here who are regular tofu eaters, or is there anyone here who actually hasn't cooked with tofu before? Feel free to pop in the comments or give us a shout out. I think it's often one that kind of gets left behind, tofu. And this is actually our first time using tofu in Project Pantry as well. Okay, so all I'm doing is kind of rotating these cubes to make sure that it's not burning on one of the sides. Oh, it smells really good. I always wish that everyone in the audience could smell how good the food smells. Maybe one day technology will get there. Okay. So probably going to leave that on for maybe a few more minutes. And again, you know, tofu is something that you can have raw. So this is kind of just a matter of crisping it up on the outside and warming it through. So while I'm leaving that just to finish off, I'm going to add some avocado as well. Avocado is a great source of healthy fats, and that's what really kind of gives us, you know, a lovely filling meal is when we have healthy fats. So anything that has, you know, avocado or nuts or, you know, fish, even eggs as well, that's what's going to fill us up throughout the day. So all I'm going to do is cube this. We'll just be adding this to the bowl as well. Bring that over there. Okay, so I'm going to go back in here and we're going to see how our tofu is doing. I hope you can see on the camera. If I pick this up, I don't know if you can see. So what it's doing is really crisping up really well around the outside. And, you know, that's also the marinade in there that's helping it do that. A little bit of honey is going to kind of caramelize a little bit as well.
What's your oil of choice for this procedure, Laura?
Sorry?
Your oil of choice.
My oil of choice. Yeah, so I'm using extra virgin olive oil today. You could also use something like a little bit of sesame oil. I actually did put a little bit of sesame oil in the marinade as well. But just any kind of light flavored oil will work well with this. Okay, so that's done. What I'm going to do is grab, I prepared a tray just with a little bit of paper towel on it there. I'm just going to take this off. Other marinade ideas you could do for tofu, you can get them pre-marinated, but marinating them yourself mean that you have a little bit greater control over the amount of, you know, of salt, of sugar that's in the tofu there. So other ideas, you could do spices like chili, cumin, coriander seeds. You could do a sweet chili version as well. So you could have sweet chili sauce and soy sauce together, mix them up, marinate it for maybe about an hour before you cook it, just to let it soak that sauce in a little bit. That would be a delicious combination as well. And of course, the last thing we're going to grab for this is our roasted vegetables. So these smell amazing. Zucchini, pumpkin, we've got eggplant. They're all like, you know, soft, kind of wintry vegetables in a way, which, you know, for this week in Sydney, we've had a little bit of a cold snap. So it's kind of good to have those warm veggies on hand. So these are pretty much ready. The pumpkin's a little bit, you could cook the pumpkin for a little bit longer, but it is quite soft. And if you want to have a little bit of bite to it, then, you know, half an hour of cooking it still gives that little bit of bite. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up here and put that straight into the bowl without losing any on the sides. Oh, just one. There we go. We're going to take some of our tofu and pop that on top. And to that, all we're going to do is drizzle over a little bit of dressing. So all I've done here is combine some tahini, which is just ground up sesame seeds, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and I did put a little bit of soy sauce in there just so it kind of, you know, mimics nicely with the marinade that we've got on the tofu as well. So just drizzling that over the top. And those veggies will kind of absorb the tahini as well because they're nice and warm. And it'll work really well with giving that egg some flavor as well. So that is my version of a Buddha bowl. We're all going to have a different version, but that's my one completed. We've got our egg, we've got the quinoa and brown rice, we've got the tofu, we've got our avocado in there, great source of healthy fats, and some roasted veggies, and using whichever veggies that you have on hand again. And as we can see, we've got the veggies taking up a really good portion of this meal. And that's what we should be aiming for, having a lot of different veggies on our plate. So there we go. We've got two very quick, very simple meals. We've got breakfast covered for you, and we've also got lunch and dinner covered with a Buddha bowl. So, you know, making them up tonight or over the weekend, you're going to give yourself a really, you know, satisfying, really filling, really healthy couple of meals to get you through the day. It'll help you reduce, you know, running to the pantry and looking for extra snacks throughout the day, which we all tend to do when we're at home. Yeah, so having meals which are going to fill you up and keep you satisfied is really what it's all about. And these ones are really affordable, really quick, don't require a lot of prep, and very easy to do. So there we go. What do we think, everybody? Does this feel like something that you can make this weekend or even this afternoon to get ready for the weekend? Pop in the comments, or you can feel free to take yourself on mute and see, does this feel like something that you can do? I think we've got a few yeses, got a few things coming through, which is always good. So yeah, so as I always say, recipes are a starting point. It's all about looking at what you have in your fridge, what you have in your pantry, and bringing different things together. At the moment, we don't really have the luxury of browsing the shops and looking for different things. We really just got to focus on the stuff that we have or what's really easy to pick up. And that's what I think these two recipes can give you. Lots of different ideas for the ways you can make it your own, while still having that really healthy balance and still focusing on things which are going to satisfy us, fill us up, keep us healthy. So we always do a little bit of that self-reflection again at the end of the session. So again, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 feeling kind of not very confident and 5 feeling very confident, how confident do you feel making healthy meals at home using what you have in your pantry, or which is easy to get from the supermarket? So pop it in the chat now, or you can pop your hand up and show us as well. I see a few 5s coming through, a 4. That's good. It seems like we have lifted up a little bit from if you had been a 1 before, or a 1 or a 2. And that's giving that confidence boost is really going to help us in cooking more healthy meals at home. Okay, so with that, I'm going to leave you to enjoy the rest of your Friday. I hope wherever you are, you're getting either some lovely sun or some nice opportunities to maybe go for a walk around your neighborhood, or do some stretches and kind of exercise in your backyard a little bit. If you do cook up these recipes, I would love to see how you go. Feel free to email us through, photos or your feedback, or tag us on social media. We'd love to see your creations. Paige is popping into the chat box there, the feedback form as well. So if you have any feedback for us, take less than 1 minute. It's just a very quick survey for us. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and stay healthy, stay active, and stay well. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks. Bye, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Laura.
joining us.
Thank you, Laura. Bye.